just got off the school bus in the village of Londevant in Brittany when he was grabbed by his father and a gang of men. It's the third time the child has been snatched by his father, Peter Malkin, in the last 4 years. His mother, who is being treated for cancer, is distraught. Her second husband says the attack was carefully planned.
Oliver was taken into the back seat of the car by his father, kicking and screaming and shouting, "No, no, no, no."
A High Court judge has said that Peter Malkin, seen here last year restoring a hotel in Devon, should be arrested on sight.
2 men were found dead after a shooting incident in West London earlier this evening. The bodies were discovered by a passerby near Goldhawk Road in Shepherd's Bush. 450 people have been arrested in a series of raids by police in London. It's part of Operation Bumblebee, which was set up to crack down on burglaries.
The first raids began at 6 o'clock this morning across London. 1,500 police took part in the operation to crack down on burglary. At this flat, officers found drugs and stolen property. It's the third so-called Bumblebee operation since the initiative was launched last year.
It is certainly making a difference. There is less burglary being committed on this division, and we are arresting more people for those offences. So it is proving effective.
The aim is to catch the small hardcore of criminals who carry out most of the capital's crime. Police made scores of arrests and expect to charge more suspects later today.
And that's it. We're back in Business Breakfast at 6:30, but now the weather with Peter Cockcroft.
Good evening. I hope you've dusted down that thicker duvet because it's going to turn out to be a very cold night across the British Isles. And here's the reason why. You can see on the satellite sequence that these clearer skies have gradually been working their way southwards across the country through the day. Now, from that satellite sequence, you might have expected it to be a pretty good day across Scotland, which it has been. However, it hasn't been very nice at Glasgow Airport, where it stayed foggy all day and the temperature didn't get above 3 degrees. And now that fog has thickened up there again, and it's dense and freezing, and we're starting to see some dense fog patches developing across Northern Ireland, and before the night's through there'll be some fog patches elsewhere across England and Wales. But the widespread frost inland tonight may well lead to some icy patches on the road, even as far south as southern England. And through the night there'll still be a few showers peppering these western and northern coasts and hills. Some of those showers up to the northwest could turn out to be quite heavy. So temperatures tonight as low as -3 in Scotland and hovering very close to freezing over southern parts of the country. Now, the low pressure that brought us the wet weather will be moving away, and tomorrow we'll have a little ridge of high pressure, and the winds blowing through that ridge will generally be from a westerly direction. And that means we're going to find more of those showers feeding onto these western coasts, and some of those showers once again in the northwest likely to be heavy at times. A foggy, frosty start inland, but I think most of the fog should clear away. And on that westerly breeze, some of those showers could sneak through the gaps in the hills. Later on in the day, we're going to find the showers joining forces up in the northwest to bring some longer spells of rain, perhaps even some heavy thundery rain with some sleet and snow over the Scottish mountains. But for England and Wales, many places will have a dry day with some sunshine, temperatures in the south as high as 10 or 11 degrees. On Friday, nothing much changing. Once again, some patchy overnight frost and fog, a lot of dry weather and those showers in the north and west. But for Saturday, a lot of wet and windy weather on the way, all down to that area of low pressure.
Paul Burke takes on Billy Schwer, defending his British and Commonwealth lightweight titles in Sports Night's Championship Boxing at 10:40 here on BBC1.
The lethal world of terrorism exposed in Peter Taylor's major new documentary series, States of Terror. After Black September, the covert assassination policy of Israel's Mossad hit team exposed.
I'm not sure that assassinating a leader will bring us anywhere near to peace. But in the case of Black September, we had no other choice.
In the battle against terrorism, the secret agents of British intelligence undercover in Northern Ireland.
The risk was that if I was caught, then I would be killed.
One man's fight to crush a lethal terrorist organization.
Spain's new anti-terrorist chief was Rafael Vera. His brief was to destroy ETA.
The superpower that waged a war against Islamic fundamentalism in Lebanon and lost.
As you know, our embassy in Beirut was the target this morning of a vicious terrorist bombing.
And beginning with the compelling story of ex-Baader Meinhof terrorist Silke Meyer-Witt.
They gave you a weapon when you joined?
Yes.
Starting next Wednesday at 9:45 on BBC1, States of Terror.
Now on BBC1, Margaret Thatcher reflects on the growing revolt against her leadership within the Conservative cabinet, which eventually brought to an end her Downing Street years.
Francis Urquhart returns to face his greatest challenge.
A new king, a new age of hope and peace and spiritual growth.
But reminders of the past still haunt the present.
I'll bring the lot of them down if I have to.
Ian Richardson stars in To Play the King, beginning Sunday, the 21st of November on BBC1.
Later tonight, we've a comedy film starring James Booth and Richard Bryars and focusing on an incompetent private eye firm called Rent-A-Dick at 10 past midnight. Before that on BBC1, Sports Night.
Good evening. Lewis against Holyfield for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. That's plan A. But hang on a minute, this man does dispute it. He has a version of the title, and like Lewis was born in Britain. He's the WBO champ, Michael Bent, and he joins us tonight. Another British heavyweight, Herbie Hyde, sees himself on the world stage too. We take a look at him this evening. And you've heard of Burke and Hare. Tonight, it's Burke and Schwer. It's the return for the British and Commonwealth lightweight titles. Can Schwer regain them? As you see, Damon Hill is with us. His new teammate is Ayrton Senna. Who needs competition? We look ahead to next week's vital World Cup occasions for England, Wales and the Republic of Ireland. All matches, incidentally, on BBC. And there's the latest action from the All Blacks. They played the south of Scotland today. Now, with the hope that no crazy parachutist arrives on the scene, we're off to Watford Town Hall for tonight's championship fight. Last February, Billy Schwer lost his unbeaten record and British and Commonwealth lightweight titles to Paul Burke. It was a big upset. Tonight, they meet in the return, and at ringside, Harry Carpenter.
So is this the night that Billy Schwer will get revenge? Or will the eyes let him down as they did at Wembley last February? This was a natural rematch from the moment Schwer lost his titles to Burke. This Watford Town Hall ringing with support for Schwer, who comes from nearby Luton. John Coyle brings them together. Billy Schwer wearing the green trunks. He's of Irish ancestry. Paul Burke, the reigning champion, British and Commonwealth lightweight champion, 9 stone 9, in the golden trunks. Defending the titles, of course, for the first time. Burke, the only man ever to beat Billy Schwer as a pro. In their last fight, Schwer in green made all the running at the start, but Burke had stamina and stayed with it, and then he cut Schwer's eyes, and in the 7th round, it was called off. More like a football crowd than a boxing crowd. left hands. Burke, the slightly taller of the two men. He's 5'10". Schwer 5'8". Only a quarter of a pound between them in weight. Burke was 9 stone 8 earlier today, and Schwer a quarter of a pound heavier. Slightly different start in this fight from their first, in that Burke is scoring much more frequently than he did in the opening round last time. His left hand is doing the better work. But Schwer perhaps deciding that caution might pay dividends here. He's not tearing in like he did in the first fight and leaving his vulnerable eyes exposed. Totally different approach from Schwer. He can't afford to get the eyes cut again. He knows that. And so caution is the watchword in this opening round. Gloves held high, waiting for the openings. At the same time, Burke is able, with his longer reach, to pick him off. And that's a good opening round for the reigning champion, 27-year-old Paul Burke from Preston, a man who had to wait a long time in his professional career before things came right for him. A former cabinet maker, he trades on strength and stamina. He's been a pro now for very nearly 7 years, and before he took these titles, the British and Commonwealth, of Schwer, a year ago he made a very gallant but unsuccessful bid for the European title in Paris against Jean-Baptiste Mondy. He went the full 12 rounds, he lost on all the cards, but the tall Frenchman said he was brave and well trained, and that's the only time Burke's lost in his last 10 fights.
Seconds out, round 2.
Both men wearing these pleated shorts. Rather a natty new design, although I think Billy actually wore a pair similar to this in their first fight. Schwer's eye problems were well known before he had the Burke fight in February last year at Wembley. He knocked out a Mexican from Texas, Thomas Quinones, but he suffered a badly cut left eyebrow then, which needed 5 stitches. Schwer not finding it easy to get past the leading left hand of the champion. And certainly he's not going bald-headed at Burke. He's making sure he protects the eyes. Schwer has been away training in the Channel Islands, in Jersey, for 3 weeks. Schwer can't quite find the opportunity to move in. One low punch there from Burke. And in 2 rounds, the former champion, Billy Schwer, has done nothing yet to disturb the current champion. And he's got a mark on his nose. He's slightly cut on the bridge of his nose, which is not a good sign for him. So the first sign of damage on Schwer's face, despite all the efforts to protect it. And a very anxious crowd around him there. 4 heads craning in anxiously.
Corners 10 seconds. Seconds out, round 3.
Good right hand. Completely different opening from their first fight. When Burke was being hounded around the ring, he's hardly ever been forced here to take a backward step in this one. Hand there, slightly low from Burke. Burke told not to hold. 3rd round. And the drama hasn't even started. A round of surprisingly few punches landed. Again, the left hand of the champion, Burke. That was a good left hook from Schwer. That's the best punch anybody has landed so far. Well, that was a subtle change in affairs from the former champion, Billy Schwer. First of all, a right hand that he threw fairly early in the round, which was a cracking little punch. And that's the beautiful left hook with which Schwer caught Burke towards the end of the round.
Seconds out, round 5.
Billy Schwer, the former champion in green, of Irish and, of course, English ancestry. He has some supporters here tonight from Limerick, from the Southhill Boxing Club. And his uncle is here, Graham Price, whom I remember commentating on both as amateur and professional some years ago. He's English. So there's a lot of friends and relations of Billy Schwer's in the audience here, in the Watford Town Hall, which is enjoying this fight, and I'm not surprised. It's good.